Hey, what is up YouTube? This is Mermail Master coming at you guys from the Team Time Riders YouTube channel with a deck profile I have been waiting to give you guys for a very, very long time. As you guys can see right here, the brand new hero, Elemental Hero Sunriser is out, and he has made this deck incredible, guys. He has sped it up a lot, allowing you to search Miracle Fusion out of your deck, pop cards your opponent controls because heroes were struggling a little bit with removal, and also giving your heroes a little bit of a boost so that they can beat over your opponent's monsters. It's an absolutely insanely awesome hero monster, and speeds up this deck quite a lot. And as you guys can see here, this is not any normal hero deck that you would see. This is a full Jaden Character Deck, and I will vouch for this character deck's efficacy at summoning a original Jaden hero like Flame Wingman or any of the other ones. In fact, your entire extra deck is these guys because it's kind of from Astral 5. An original Jaden hero every single turn. That's right, guys, you heard me right. So, without further ado, I'm going to get into this deck profile and show you exactly what I'm running in this brand new format. So, to start things off, guys, the first ones we have here are Jaden's original Avian and Burstinatrix. A lot of players make the mistake of running more than one of each of these, but these guys are very much the combo for your Flame Wingman, who's your game ender. So, you want to get your Flame Wingman exactly when you want him and never really when you don't. And since they're lower attack powers, you're using them to go for fusion summons anyway. These guys are great and huge part of your deck, so you always have to have them. Next, this is going to kind of come as a surprise to some people, but 2 Clayman. Clayman is part of many Sparkman and Burstinatrix fusions, and is actually a very good defensive monster. So that actually makes a very powerful play that you can make with some of your more defensive heroes like Rampart Blaster to attack your opponent directly and different things like that. Clayman is in here too. You can of course bump him to 1. Bubbleman is in here at 1, of course, really good. Don't really get his effect off too much. You mostly use him for fusion materials, and he's just a very fun card to have. If you want to speed up your heroes, you can take Bubbleman out because his fusions are not as good. So I recommended that to a friend who wanted to play evil heroes, but that was still good. Now, moving on to the big guns. These are the fusions that make the deck work. So I have 2 of a lot of cards that many people are not running. First and foremost, guys, 2 Elemental Heroes Sparkman. Love the different arts on these guys. Basically, Sparkman, any fusion that has Sparkman in it is going to be guaranteed you're probably popping something your opponent controls. So they're incredibly useful for a variety of different plays. Next card we have in here, 1 copy of Elemental Hero Wildheart.
Put it right here, there's less glare.
Sure. 1 copy of Elemental Hero Wildheart basically goes for your Necroid Shaman, your Wild Wingman, and your Wild Edge. So he fuses for a lot of really interesting kind of niche cards, like Wild Edge to beat over stuff, Wild Wingman to destroy spells and traps, and then Necroid Shaman pops something on summon. So if we mention Necroid Shaman, we got to have Necroshade in here. Necroshade is actually really awesome in this deck because not only is it a fusion material for a variety of really good monsters, especially good first turn and second turn monsters, you also have the ability, when it's in graveyard, 1 time while it's in there, to normal summon an Elemental Hero without offering a tribute. And what better Elemental Hero to do that with than Blade Edge? Blade Edge is a 2600 attack monster with piercing damage and piercing effects. And the greatest thing about Blade Edge is that one of the things that makes it fantastic is that you can basically use it for 2 of the best fusions in this extra deck. So that makes it really good. Now guys, moving on to some of the other guys, we've got 1 copy of Elemental Hero Captain Gold, fetch your Skyscraper out of your deck. 1 copy of Honest Neos. This has actually become one of my favorite cards that has come out right now. I replaced the regular Neos for this and wouldn't change it for anything. Honest Neos is fantastic. Ditch it at any time. You gain attack power like you would not believe.
Would you say he's honestly the best hero?
Honestly, I would. Now, moving on to what I call the Fearsome Foursome. Elemental Hero Shadow Mist, Blazeman, Prisma, and Stratos. These guys are your consistency boosters. A lot of your heroes that you run in this deck don't really do anything by themselves. These guys help you get to them.
The 4 Horsemen of Justice right here.
And the greatest thing is that when you're playing these, if you have any 2 monsters in this main deck, plus a Polymerization, you can go into pretty much any fusion in this extra deck. So everything's fusible in this deck, so you're not having situations where you have two monsters that you're unable to fuse in a polymerization in your hand. That does not happen in this deck. So these are really good at fetching you. Prisma makes materials. Blazeman is your always go-to because you want to make sure that you get your polymerizations to your hand. Stratos to search and pop, and of course Shadow Mist either send off a Blazeman, or even better, you can send Shadow Mist off of any of the discard effects of your other heroes, such as Wild Wingman, Thunder Giant,
you got the Sunrise
or one of the other ones, and then they'll get the effects. And then this will search, allowing you an extra pop, which is really, really cool. Now, of course, to finish things out, we've got one copy of Neospatial Granmole, non-targeting, non-destruction removal, and finally 2 King of the Swamps. Really great for grabbing polymerizations when you can't get your Blazemans, and also really awesome because you can use them in grave for any fusion material monster, including Flame Wingman, which means Shining Flare suddenly becomes very easy and real to summon in this deck. That's it for the monsters. Moving on to these spells. Wouldn't be a hero deck without 3 E-Call. E-Call is your main play here, and gets you whatever hero you want, and pretty much searches the whole deck. So, I like it quite a lot. And of course, now that we've got Sunriser in here, guys, gotta have them 3 Miracle Fusions. Miracle Fusion is what makes the plays work. And thanks to Miracle Fusion, you can summon 2 heroes. If you have the access to summon Sunriser on the board, you can summon Sunriser with like a polymerization play, get some stuff to your graveyard, and then search the Miracle Fusion, and then summon them with the heroes in grave. It's insane. Really, really good combos.
He also
2 Polymerization. These are actually more important than the Miracle Fusion and have been for a very, very long time. Polymerization, of course, fuses a lot of fusion monsters, but more importantly, gets your heroes to the grave, which is very important. Things like Necroshade and stuff like that you can send and then normal summon a Blade Edge on the next turn. Now, one of my personal favorites, Skydive Scorcher. Kind of a little consistency booster bump, whatever the heck it is. Skydive Scorcher is kind of like works like Skyscraper when you can destroy any monsters with higher attack power than a fusion monster you control, and then you inflict damage equal to the highest attack 1, and then if you have a Skyscraper on the field, you destroy all of them and inflict damage to all your opponent's monsters. So I once did that on a full field full of Photon Dragons with a Skyscraper out. He was not happy. He lost the game right then and there. And it was Mariner that did it. Now, for one of the first new cards in the deck, guys, Favorite Hero. I really, really like this card because it is exactly the kind of like Jaden-esque card that really makes this deck kind of like a very, very funny style of deck. And the thing that I was thinking about running this with Tempest, because when you activate this at the start of your battle phase, you can activate a field spell from your hand or deck, which that by itself is really good to grab Skyscraper, or if you run it, Skyscraper 2, Hero City, which is not directly searchable by anything else. Then, what you can do is, if the hero monster is level 5 or higher, and that of course includes if you have a Blade Edge on the board, this works for it as well, that your monster gains attack power equal to its original defense power. And a lot of your heroes have high defense power. And not to mention that you can make second attack with this card, and it also gives you protection from card effects as well. So this is really good. If you summon a Tempest with this and make it indestructible by battle, you get a 5600 monster that is like literally indestructible by anything. It makes the Tempest worth summoning. I'll put it that way. The next card that we have is another one of the brand new cards. I'm only running 1 copy because it's not as useful as I had hoped, but it's Generation Next. Search so when you have less damage than your opponent, you can search a hero with attack less than or equal to the difference, or a Wing Karibo card, and add it from your deck to your hand or special summon it to the board, but that card's name cannot activate its effects. So really, really good if you want, Wing Karibo or any kind of other card to your hand. But sometimes, if you're ahead of the game or you're being forced to go first, Generation Next can be a dead card in hand. But under the right circumstances, this is a very, very strong card that can get you a crap ton of searches if you do your stuff right. Now, of course, moving on to some of the stuff, we got that spell, so of course you gotta have Skyscraper in here. Skyscraper to get you get your attack power higher, which is really good. Now, on to one of the other cards, Hero Lives. I'm actually looking forward to when that fusion, whatever it's called, you special summon a monster that's listed as a fusion material comes out. This card is good for fetching Stratos and fetching some other stuff as well that you have in your deck. And of course now, moving on to Fifth Hope. Shuffle back all three, and then you can very rarely resolve its second effect, but when you do, it's really good. It's Pot of Avarice, because Pot of Avarice is basically banned. And for the final hero card I have in the deck, guys, this is my own personal tech. You don't have to run this, and you can easily replace it with any other card, and that's Get Your Game On. I love Get Your Game On.
You're assuming they have that?
Assuming you have it, if you have it like sitting in a binder somewhere, which I don't know, it's a tough card to find, but this card basically doubles the attack power of all your elemental heroes and Neospatians, but do note it's not usable in official duels, so that's something to note. But the really, really great thing about this card is that its attack doubling effect is continuous and it's always the last thing to resolve, which means it will always double your attack. So if you ditch Honesty Neos off of this, Honesty Neos will boost by 5,000 under this card, which is absolutely nuts. You know, it's always the last thing to check, like, what's getting doubled. No, like, real, like, crazy rulings and stuff on it, because I don't think it's ever really come up, but this is a fantastic card. One time, I Wild Heart activated this, and then Honesty Neos. Wild Heart boosted to 3k, and then it went 5k on a full field of traps per game, which was insane. Very cool. Now moving on to staple cards, Swords of Revealing Light, actually more helpful than you might think. Raigeki and Monster Reborn to close it out. Now moving on to the traps, guys. 2 copies of Mirror Force, canonically run by Jaden, as was called the Haunted. Both very, very good. This is great for triggering Blaze Man during your opponent's turn, and then using Blaze Man's Ditch effect during your turn. Then we have 1 copy of Fusion Reserve, fetch anything back. Timaeus the God Monarch actually used this while Flame Wingman was on the board to make a Shining Flare by grabbing Sparkman and a Poly from Grave. Very, very cool play. And finally, of course, Solemn Judgment to close things out. Another card Jaden canonically ran in 1 duel and never touched again, which I can't figure out why. Now, guys, moving on.
Because the ban list came.
Pretty much. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, Elemental Hero Sunrise. He's going to be your main playmaker of all the different cards that you guys have in this deck. I explained his effect at the beginning, but I'll go a little bit into it again. Basically, Elemental Hero Sunriser, boost your attack power, can pop cards your opponent controls when other heroes attack, can spit out 2 heroes per turn during Master Rule 5 or Master Rule 4.5 Revise or whatever they want to call it, and also allows you to search a Miracle Fusion from your deck to your hand. Very, very good card. Very, very good card, and definitely speeds up this deck like you would not believe. Next card I've got in this deck, of course, is Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, Jaden's original beast, and what I call the game ender, because you use Flame Wingman, you can beat over your opponent's monsters and inflict their attack power as damage to them. The same thing is with his cohort Shining Flare Wingman. He's the upgraded form of Flame Wingman. Actually easier to summon in some senses with your, you use Flame Wingman plus Sparkman to go into this, but you can use King of the Swamp to summon it as well. This is the same exact effect, but it gains 300 attack for every hero you have in grave. Those I call the Flame Wingman part. Now, guys, moving on to what I consider to be the best fusions in the deck, which are the Sparkman fusions. The Sparkman fusions are as follows. First, of course, is Thunder Giant. Discard a monster from hand to the grave once per turn, or discard a card from hand to grave once per turn to destroy a monster with lower attack power than Thunder Giant himself. Under Get Your Game On, Thunder Giant boosts to 48, which means he can destroy everything. Then we've got this. Great first turn play here. This is Elemental Hero Darkbright. Darkbright, you can, he attacks, he inflicts piercing. When he attacks, he switches to defense mode, and then if he's destroyed, pop a monster your opponent controls. Then, this is one of my personal favorite and one of the best cards in this extra deck is Plasma Vice. Unlike Thunder Giant, his effect is not once per turn, but he can only destroy attack position monsters. He does, however, inherit Blade Edge's ability to pierce, which I call that like a win in that respect. Moving on to the next fusions, guys, we have the Wild Heart fusion. Comboing together with that is another fusion requiring Necro Shade. It's Elemental Hero Necroid Shaman. When it comes to the board, pop a monster you control, and then you must special summon one from their graveyard. This actually has saved me in a lot of chances. I played against a player who was running a stun deck with Battle Fader, I was able to special summon, hit one of his effect veilers back, and swing over game because of that. But it's very good for popping a stronger monster and replacing it with a weaker one that's more easy to kill. Next is the Plasma Vice of Spells and Traps, which is Wild Wingman, Avian, and Wildheart. Wild Wingman pops Spells and Traps by discarding one card, and as I said, you combine it together with the trap card, or with Shadow Mist. You can pop, and then you can search and like a Necroshade or something, and then send that to the grave, pop 2 Spells and Traps, and then have your Necroshade play ready in graveyard for when you can use that. And then of course the final one is another big game-ending card, another one of my personal favorites. The Blade Edge guys are Wild Wingman. This card can attack all your monsters your opponent controls once a piece. Wild Edge, my bad. Wild Edge. You can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. I use this to defeat Stewie, DDD Stewie, because I had this guy boosted up by Honest Neos, and I attacked over every DDD he had on his board, and won the game through that. It's incredible. Just beats through everything, any like Burning Abyss or whatever, no problem. You just keep attacking until all the shit's dead. Now, guys, moving on to what I call the, maybe less savory fusions. The ones that you don't summon quite as much. Starting off, Mudball Man, just a big 3K beater. Steam Healer, exactly like Flame Wingman, except when it destroys a monster by battle, inflict or you gain the life points equal to the attack. Rampart Blaster, it's a direct attacker while it's in defense mode. And finally, Mariner, who is another very, very big favorite. This guy has actually been an MVP for me, especially in time rules. If you control a set card, he can attack under everything. So I've used it to beat Time Lords. I've used it to get around an Orcus board in time. Very, very cool plays. So it's like you're not going to win most of the games you play, but like when you pull something off like that, it's a victory. You ditch Honesty Neos or something, you can boost this to like 37 and take a big chunk of your opponent's life points away, which is great. Now the final 2 cards we have in this deck, which are summonable by the way, guys. One copy of Elemental Hero Tempest, who has that battle protection effect, combines very well with Favorite Hero. And finally, guys, the piece to resistance is Elemental Hero Electrum. Makes all your, don't let your dreams be dreams. You can summon this card very, very easily if you want to in this deck. So guys, that is going to wrap up my Elemental Hero deck profile. Of course, there's many different options that you can run, but I wanted to make a deck that allows you to summon all of Jaden's heroes effortlessly, without trouble, and you're able to make them and win with them. And I feel like this deck accomplishes that. I really would love to know what you guys think in the comment section below, what you guys think of this deck, and I'm very, very proud of it, and really hope that you guys enjoy this profile and decide to build it. So guys, thanks so much for watching the video, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Tobias the God Monarch as well for his work behind the camera. And this has been the Mermail Master with the Team Time Riders YouTube channel, signing out. Catch you guys next time. Peace.